Hey guys, Analog Man here for another deck profile, and today we are looking into Armor Rush, but specifically my personal build of it so far. As of recording, the new starter decks are not out yet. They will be out in about a week because it is still the weekend here. But yeah, basically, this is my version of Armor Rush, but with extra steps because it does run the Jogress engine and it does run fighter mode, which actually does help you close out games. I tried the version that does not run Jogressing as much. It's okay, but it doesn't really have that like final push. And you don't really get that until you get the starter decks. But with this, if you want to test this at locals for now, before it's legal, this deck actually is pretty busted. The Jogressing basically helps you kind of go in for game at this point. While the Armor Rush, it's actually really busted with how the effects just keeps your guy on field and all that. Also, the fact is that almost every armor is dual colored, so you can kind of set up stuff with Chimeramon or Shucklemon or whatever you want, basically. So it's really busted. Anyway, let's actually get into the deck profile so you can actually see what I mean. So first, the eggs, we're running 4 Upamon because Upamon is really solid. And weird thing is that in this format, people are going to be hard playing a lot of stuff, for Jogressing. So this card is actually kind of live most of the time. So really solid baby at the moment. I wanted to run a fifth egg, but I feel that if I did that, I would lose out on consistency. So I'm keeping this at 4 for now, and maybe I might change it on later on. You can add in a fifth egg if you really want to, but I feel consistency is the main thing that you want with Digimon because it's just with how the deck is and how potentially we might not have Mulligan in the future. Having consistency is like the major thing, and Blue-Green Armor Rush Imperial is actually really consistent. So having this to help with that is really solid. So we run the 4 eggs. Let's get into the rookies. All our rookies, of course, being a armor rush based around blue, will be basically all Vmons. So let's see what Vmons that we have. First, we have the 4 Vmons from the all 4 starter deck. This guy is really solid. This guy has actually gotten me an extra draw that has helped me basically draw my next armor to evolve on top after, the one he has breaks, basically. Really solid card. It does kind of suck that I can't, use his warp ability, but it's whatever. You're mainly using him for the inherent ability to draw 1 if you have 7 or fewer cards. Then we run 4 of the Vmon from BT2. This guy's also really solid. The fact that when you unsuspend, especially with like Magnamon, you get to draw 1. The one thing is that most people might say that it's better to run the EX1 Vmon because it gives you an extra memory. But the thing is that in most of my testing so far, the memory doesn't matter if you don't have the card that you need to evolve on top. So I feel that the memory in general in this format right now doesn't really matter as much in certain decks. In this deck, it does matter, but at the same time, sometimes you would rather actually see the card you need because most of the time you might not see it. Maybe it just I feel that it's better to draw rather than gain a memory because then you can just grab what you need and set up for next turn, which is like the huge thing with this deck. Then we're running 4 of the new BT8 Vmon. This Vmon is actually really busted because it can actually evolve on blue and green, so you can actually use this in green decks. And the fact is that on play, it reveals 4 cards, and it adds any 2-color card. It doesn't matter if it's a Digimon or a Tamer. So it's actually really busted. Oh, wait, actually, no. It can also run options as well. It can actually grab options as well. As long as it's a 2-color option like Mega Def or Giga Def, you will basically be guaranteed to grab it. So really solid card that you have to have at like 4. I've seen some builds running it at 2. 2 is really solid, but like I feel having this for now until we get the starter deck one is probably the best way to go for now. And then for the last Vmon, we of course have the old BT3 Vmon that has jamming. This guy, of course, I will be switching him out for the new searcher that searches 3 types. But for now, this is pretty solid. Having it at 14 is really good because you're already running about 12 armors, maybe more depending. So having this amount is just right. But that's all the rookies we run. And of course, they're all variants of Vmon because this is a Armor Rush deck. Then for the level 4s, of course, the armors, we have 4 Lydramons. Really weird that they renamed this guy after they've been calling him Rydramon for so many years, but it's whatever. This guy's really cool. He can evolve on top of all of the armors that involve Vmon can evolve on top of him for 2 cost instead of the 3 cost that they normally have. Plus, they all have when digivolving effects. Like this one, when digivolving, you get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, so you could like kill their Bokomon or whatever little rookie they have on board that they want to set up with. Um, then we have 4 Flame Dramons. I really love Flame Dramon because he can get over a lot of blockers right now. He on attack, he basically gets plus 3,000 DP. And of course, all these guys have Armor Purge, which is really an amazing ability. It basically lets you keep the Digimon on field by removing the armor on top. So really cool. Then we're running, of course, 3 Magnamons. Magnamon is honestly, I feel like I want to bump this guy up to 4 because he's just so solid. Because in moments where, like, let's say you swing with this and it dies, you can evolve this on top for 3 costs. This is the only one that evolves for 3 costs instead of 2 like these guys. But it lets you, his when digivolving lets him basically untap, and then on your opponent's turn, the turn after you evolve into this, he gains 2,000 for each armor evolution in the trash. And the cool thing is that he's also a blocker, and he's already 7,000. So if you already have like 2, he's already 11,000 blockers. So you already have a really nice setup with him. Plus the fact that he's yellow blue, so it helps you kind of set up for Jogress stuff, especially with Shakuamon. And then the last level 4s we run, of course, is the 3 Ankylomon. And Kilomon is actually really cool because if you have a blue, which is basically any of your cards in your deck, basically, you can play him for 3 instead of 4. It's just a reduction of his cost, but you can set it up where you push out this from raising, and then you hard play this, and your opponent gives you 3, right? So you go, oh, okay, go to 0, and then you Jogress, and you go into basically Shakuamon or Chimeramon, and then you go into Imperial, and you bounce their stuff. So it's really cool how busted Jogress is because it's a 0 cost mechanic. But yeah, that's all the level 4s we run. We run 8, 11, 14. So we match with our rookies. That way we don't have too little and too less. For level 5s, we're only running specifically 2. We're running 4 Shakuamon because Shakuamon is really cool on Jogress or just on Digivolving. If you have 5 or less security, he just heals 1. And the fact that when when you DNA Digivolve, you get to return one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal to the number of cards in your security stack to its owner. So you basically get to do anything that's like 6 cost or less, which is really cool. So basically, it lets you hit any level 6 basically. If you already have you have full security and they haven't hit it, it lets you basically bounce it. So really nice. Then we're running 3 Chimeramon. Chimeramon is really busted because he's just generic, and the fact is that in this deck, you're guaranteed to have 4 colors, so he will minus 4,000, and he'll go up to 12,000 as well. And with Ankylomon and Shakuamon below, you're basically guaranteed to reduce your opponent's Digimon by at least 6,000, and that usually kills most blockers, so really solid with Chimeramon. That's all the level 5s we run. We only run 7, but you don't really need it as much because the Digimon that will be doing most of the heavy hitting will be the armors. So you don't absolutely need that many. You just need it for Jogressing. Most likely what's going to happen is that once the starter deck comes out, I will be removing these Chimeramons to fit in 3 Pyodramon because Pyodramon can unsuspend and during his attack, so it's really solid. Plus the fact is that he is a Pyodramon, so kind of in theme with the deck basically. But let's actually get into level 6s. We only run 3. We run 1 of the Imperial Dragon mode, which will be replaced by the new one from the starter deck that lets you summon stuff from your sources. And then I run 2 Imperial Dramon Fighter modes. This guy is really busted because he can Digivolve on top of Dragon mode for 2 cost. And then when Digivolving, you can return one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 DP or less to their hand. So that hits almost everything except for like certain level 6s. And then the cool thing is that when attacking, if it has a blue and a green source, it can use both of its when attacking effects once per turn. So if it has a blue, it can untap itself, and then if it has a green, it can tap something of your opponent's. So you can basically go swing into security, untap, survive, then swing into their guy and kill it. So really solid guy. I love having him, honestly. Like when I see him, I basically try to see if I can set him up because he will basically get me the game. But yeah, that's all the level 6s. Now we're going into the option cards. We don't really we run only a certain amount, but not too many. We run 3 Hammer Sparks because this deck is blue, and you do want to gain memory, which can help you basically win games. You run 2 Fire Rockets because you run so many armors that this card basically ignores its color requirement, and it's a 1 cost that gives anything with dual color security +1. So you can put it on uh, like you could put it on Shakuamon, you could put it on any of your armors, you can put it on Imperial Fighter mode, which is really cool. But that's only if you have a armor on the field to ignore its color requirement. But if you do, then you can give him that as well because he is a dual color. Then we run 1 Hidden Potential because this deck does have green, and since your dual tamer is green, you can resolve this, and you can basically evolve from Chimeramon up to this for free, basically. I've actually been able to get this off before a few times, and it's really busted because Chimeramon with this lets you just go off and just be like, oh, hey, sorry about that. I basically go and swing twice for basically 0 cost. Then we run 1 Armor Texture. Originally, I was running 2, maybe 3 of this, but it actually kind of bricks when you don't have any armors. So having this at 1, is pretty nice. And if you hit Insecurity, it gets to basically revive a Vmon, so that's not too bad either. But that's all the options we run. We only run about 7 options because the deck is mainly focused on just the armors and just rushing your opponent, basically. So you don't really want to focus on too much options, basically. But for the tamers, we don't really have that many tamers either, but they're all really, really good. We're running 3 of the new Davis and Ken. This guy is actually really busted because on your main phase, if you have a blue Digimon, you gain 1 memory, and if you have a green Digimon, you gain 1 memory as well. But if you have, let's say, a Digimon like Lydramon, where he's dual colored, or like Imperial Fighter mode, you gain 2 memory. So no matter what, you'll always be set to 3 or maybe 5, depending if you already have your memory setter. And speaking of memory setters, we do have 2 Davises because Davis is still really busted, especially in this deck because you do have greens and you have blues. So you will be guaranteed to basically grab at least 2 cards sometimes. So really cool. Davis is still really solid, and in conjunction with this, you could potentially gain up to like 5 memory every turn. So you're basically set to just go into this or just basically anything in your deck. So really solid deck so far. As I mentioned, a few of the cards will be replaced once I get the starter deck, and then I will do an updated deck profile once that happens, and I will show you the real version I'll be running for basically BT8. And then I'm also going to be putting out a new updated version of my Beelstar deck because I do plan to main basically Imperial Armor Rush and Beelstar, and maybe potentially, depending if I can figure out the builds, Black War Greymon and Yellow Hybrids, but we'll see. I honestly just want to make yellow Rapidmon hybrid, honestly, because I really like Rapidmon and I love having the armor decks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know what you thought of it, and any advice if you want. But anyways, I'll see you guys next time in the next deck profile.